A New York City landlord is suing the city for $1 million after his tenant was driven out of business by illegal food trucks. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today. Once again, it's coming out of the city of New York. Okay, beautiful, beautiful city. I've been there several times. I've enjoyed myself while I was there, but I thought to myself, man, this place it's got problems. It's got problems because too much government regulation. It's got problems because, it's just bad how they treat the property owners there, bad how the landlords are treated with disrespect there. And I personally, I couldn't even afford to live there even though I have a pretty healthy income. It's pretty funny when you say, hey, somebody who has a six-figure income can't afford to live in your city. Okay, but that's just the way it is. But anyway, this landlord is suing the city for $1 million because he says the city did not do their job, didn't enforce the laws that they have on the books, and allowed these illegal food trucks to park right in front of his building. And inside his building, he had a tenant who was running a pizzeria, and they drove that pizzeria out of business. Okay. So, yeah, this is a big problem. I mean, we're talking about when it comes to food trucks, especially, hey, they just can't park up in front of other businesses because they're blocking those businesses. Okay. They're like I don't think there's a problem with food trucks in general. I think the problem is that when you have a food truck, and if that food truck, especially if it's selling the same exact type of food as the business that it's parked in front of, well, it's going to steal some of the customers from that business, and that's going to hurt it. So do I think that there's a case here? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but this landlord certainly does think there is a case there. And it's interesting that the restaurant itself wasn't the one who's filing this lawsuit, but the landlord, because the landlord is saying, hey, this vacant space caused by the pizzeria, I can't fill it. I can't fill it because we have these people, and they're blocking the area, and no restaurant wants to move in there. Okay, they're like, hey, we can't make any money here because these food trucks are blocking and cutting off all of our customers. And you know what? That is a very, very valid point. But they got more details of the story once I get into it. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Just out of curiosity, would you like to hear more stories about commercial real estate? I don't talk about it very often because I am not an expert, okay? I have a very basic knowledge of like commercial real estate, but mostly I deal with residential real estate. So I try not to talk too much about things I don't know about. I'll give you my opinion on this, but I'm not exactly sure of more of the details involved when it comes to operating like a mixed use building or a fully commercial building. So forgive me if I don't have that sort of information for you, but I can certainly do a lot more research and certainly start covering more articles about that. I mean, sometimes it is hard for me to find enough articles about what's going on in the residential real estate sector. And I see a lot of these stories about commercial real estate, and I'm like, well, that's not my specialty. So I don't want to put a comment out there and then end up looking stupid because I'm wrong. Okay. But I can certainly try. Anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from patch.com, and it says food trucks killed Upper West Side pizzeria, cost landlord $930,000 in rent, lawsuit. An uptown landlord is demanding nearly $1 million from the city for failing to shoe unlicensed food trucks that hurt tenants' business. And I think to an extent, right? Like this is the city's fault to an extent, but at the same time, these people who are operating illegally, they're going to continue to operate illegally, even if they're shooed away by, I guess, I don't know who'd be in charge of that, the police, the code inspectors, whoever, right? They're going to continue to operate illegally. They're going to just, move from spot to spot because they know they can make money doing it. And yeah, there's going to be businesses that are hurt, but maybe you're going after the wrong people here when you're trying to sue the city over this issue because they have limited number of inspectors, etc. But I wonder what kind of actions this landlord, this property owner took when it comes to contacting the city about this problem. But anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. An Upper West Side landlord is suing the city for nearly $1 million after multiple city agencies failed to clamp down on unlicensed food trucks that hurt tenants' business, according to a new lawsuit. Attorney for local landlord Rimsbrand Continental filed a lawsuit last month in Manhattan accusing city officials of standing idle as food vendors blocked storefronts during peak lunch hours, caused a local pizzeria, Bravo West Pizza, at 2345 Broadway, to close, and were threatening and combative when asked to display a license. The trucks continue to sell homemade food at the corners of West 85th and 86th Streets on Broadway and have done so since September 2022, the lawsuit states. Like I was just in Manhattan a couple of months ago, okay? There are restaurants, there's so many different food places everywhere, okay? I've never been to a place with so much selection when it comes to food, okay? So, yeah, you've got, like you'll have two pizzerias right next to each other. But I understand that what this landlord is saying that hey, this isn't right that these food trucks are sitting here blocking you, right? But you already are dealing with a huge amount of competition. It might not have been that these food trucks were the driving factor that shut these businesses down, because there's a certain audience of people who go to get food trucks. There's a certain audience of people who go and they sit down and they eat, and or go to a restaurant and get takeout or whatever, right? But it'll be very hard to prove that these businesses were driven out based solely upon those food trucks. Okay, now I'm not saying that that it isn't the case. I'm just saying it's going to be hard to prove. Okay, these unlicensed vendors make it impossible to rent the vacant store since they park right in front of the store, making it very undesirable. And these illegal vendors scare off potential customers, the lawsuit reads. Adding the landlord's largest tenant, Broadway Fruit Market LLC, has been most severely economically damaged due to the illegal vendors obstructing the sidewalk directly in front of the vegetable, fruit, and grocery store. So, yeah, like if the city cracks down on these food trucks, what are like, do you really think that these businesses wouldn't be struggling? That's what my question is. Okay, and is the true reason why these businesses are failing due to the fact that they're parked there? Now, it may be the case, and if you have talked to the city about, hey, these people are there, we'd like to see you do more enforcement action. The city has done nothing, then I do see that as a problem. Okay. I mean, what are we paying our taxes for? What are these laws on the books for? I noticed that sometimes it's like they're very selective in enforcing the laws, and they go after property owners, they go after business owners who are operating, in physical locations such as the ones in your business, because they're easier to go after. It's much harder to go after some guy driving around in a truck with a barbecue grill in the back. Okay, so these people, they don't have the licenses, but part of the problem they don't have the licenses is also because of the city. Okay, we're talking about a place that has so many rules, so many regulations. I mean, I remember reading about how they had this special system just for allowing hot dog stands in the city. Okay, and so when you have a special system and they limit the number of hot dog stands in the city, you know what the result is? You create a black market of freaking hot dog stands. So yeah, we've got a city that's creating the very issues that you're dealing with right now, rather than allowing business owners to operate the way that they should be able to operate. They're being stingy with stuff, and they're making it so expensive and so difficult in order to get the proper licensing and proper permits. And then you jump through all those hoops, right? And then the black market people are just like, well, screw you, we're not going to do all that, and then they put you out of business. So I sympathize with you. I really do. I really do, because your city is so poorly managed that they're driving legitimate business owners out. Okay, and this is something that I've been talking about for a long time with regards to landlords. Okay, people previously were like, hey, I want to invest here, I want to buy property here, but then they got hit with all these rules, all these regulations, and it convinced people that it just wasn't worth their time, their money, and their investment there, because they would get treated like villains. Okay, and that's the exact same thing that's happening to you right now, in terms of your businesses are getting completely screwed over, the city is not listening to you, and your tenants are being driven out of business. Okay, so, well, what's the solution to this problem? And it's the same solution I always talk about. Okay, don't waste your money there. Okay, go somewhere where you're treated right. Go somewhere where they enforce the law, where they will treat you with respect, where you have property rights. And stop wasting your time trying to change a place that seems like it is so burdened with bureaucracy that it's going to be darn near impossible to change.